You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network. For more quality options programs, visit www.theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app, available in iTunes and on Google Play.
Welcome to the Hot Options Report, your premier source for insight into the fast-moving options market. Each day, we'll track down the products that are dominating the options chains and impacting your trading account, from Nvidia to VIX and everything in between. If it's lighting up the options tape, then you'll find it on the Hot Options Report.
All right, everybody, that music means we are back. It is time for your Hot Options Report for Wednesday, February 11th. My name is Mark Longo from the Options Insider Radio Network, your home for your favorite options podcast for now over 19 years. Wild stuff. Speaking of wild stuff, if you're not checking out the Pro yet, you are missing out. The upcoming Vol Deathmatch 2.0. It's popping off next week on Tuesday. Be there or be square. The optionsinsider.com/pro is where you can participate in that historic event. And then, of course, if you want to check out all the data we're talking about on the show and a whole bunch more we don't have time to get to, thehotoptionsreport.com, the place to go to kick the tires and light the fires. As we see what kind of fires were raging out there today. Was it a hot day in the options market? The answer was, it was decent. A little bit more than average, perhaps. Cost you 564,000 contracts to break into the top 10 today. It gets us to our old pal Alphabet Class A, selling off $7.62, or about 2.4%, closing a little bit shy of 311, issuing a very rare 100-year bond. So if you want to take a part of a 100-year bond on Alphabet, today was your day. Either way, coming in at number 10 today, 564 on the tape for them. The hot option in good old Class A, you know it was expiring today. In fact, your hot option in Alphabet today, 33,000 of the 310 puts expiring today. Average price for these about 41 cents. This was an opening trade. It closed right around 311, so obviously they went out worthless. Looks like paper might have been selling these, in which case, obviously, you had to sweat a little bit. The stock got down to 309.66, so pretty close to your break-even level on these puts before rebounding a bit, and they ended up going out worthless, so looks like selling was the right trade. As we keep climbing to number 9, another name that was climbing hard today. This name has been all over the place this year, but mostly a lot of green of late. That has been Micron, rallying another $37.09, or just about exactly 10%, to close 410 and a third out there today. So absolutely wild. If you're wondering, they're up $95, or about 30% year to date so far. So just an absolutely wild year out there for Micron, putting up 577,000 contracts for the number 9 spot out there today, listeners. The hot option in Micron, again, there are no Monday and Wednesday weeklies in this name, so your only choice is Friday, and that's what was the hot option out there today. 27, nearly 28,000 of the pars, the 400s. Average price for these, $11.39. Obviously, they went out worth at least $10.34, so you're looking pretty good on these so far. You need a bit more drift up throughout the rest of the week. Keep an eye on these. Can Micron stay up here, or will it collapse back tomorrow? We shall find out. $11 for these calls? Is that too rich for your blood? I guess we'll see as we keep climbing to the number 8 spot. Another name that was not climbing today. This was Palantir. This is another one that's had a tumultuous year so far in 2026, selling off another 3 3/4 today, or about 2.7%, to close at 135.68, putting up 642,000 contracts for the number 8 spot out there today. The hot option in Palantir, 29,000 of the 135 puts, the at-the-money puts, expiring on Friday. Average price for these, $2.61. What do you think, listeners? Another at-the-money put trading in Palantir. Would you be a buyer or a seller at that price? Hit us up. Let us know as we let you know what the number 7 spot is on our list today. You know, it's earnings season when Robinhood breaks into our top 10, and unfortunately for the Robinhood bulls, not a great number coming out of Hood. The stock selling off $7.53 today, or nearly 9%, to close at $78.07. Absolutely wild. At this point, it has been cut pretty much in half from its all-time high around 153. Not that long ago. Wild time. It's been a wild year again, selling off 32%, or about 37 handles just so far this year. So a rough start to the year for good old Hood, putting up 676,000 contracts for the number 7 spot out there today. And the hot option in Mr. Robinhood today, 25,000 of the 80 calls expiring on Friday. Average price for these, 81 cents. Looks like paper might have been selling these. This was an opening post-earnings trade. In which case, if you did sell these, you obviously want Robinhood to hang out here or at least below the 80 strike. What do you think, listeners? Would you be a seller of those or would you be a buyer? Looks like we had a little bit of a recovery in the second half of the session. So perhaps you'd be sweating those if you sold them, but I'm curious. Hit us up. Let us know as we keep climbing to the number 6 spot on our countdown today. It's Mr. Softy, also giving back some to the market gods, selling off $8.90, or about 2.15% out there today to close at 404.37, putting up 824,000 contracts for the number 6 spot on our countdown today. The hot option in Mr. Softy today on what has been, I think, to put it mildly, a challenging year for Microsoft. It's the par puts. Once again, that par strike coming into action. The 400 puts expiring today, changing hands 36,000 times out there today. Average price, 37 cents. Obviously, if you sold those par puts for 37 cents, you're looking pretty good. We never quite broke that strike, so if you bought these, this was all opening paper, by the way. If you bought these, you were expecting a little bit more of a dip than we actually got. We got as low as 401, pretty much exactly today. So you got close, but no cigar. So if you sold these, you had to sweat a little bit, but then the second half of the session, you're looking pretty good, and you ended up pocketing your 37 cents, listeners, as we keep climbing to the number 5 spot on our countdown today. This is Amazon, a name that has not been climbing post-earnings ever since they announced massive generational spending on AI, selling off another $2.70, or about 1.3%, to close 204.20 today, putting up 1.2 million contracts for the number 5 spot today. So again, about a 400,000 contract jump between number 6 and number 5 in our countdown today. The hot option in Amazon today, 76,000 of the 205s expiring today. Average price for these, about 50 cents. Looks like paper might have been selling these as well. Again, opening flow. So if you sold these, you were playing with fire because the stock got up to 208, almost 208.60 at one point today before selling off a bit. And then they rallied again to about the 205 strike in the second half of the session. So if you sold the 205s, you were sweating more than once. But they ended up going out worthless. And you pocketed your full 49 cents if you rode them through the close as we keep climbing to number 4, keeping it in the A-Tech names. This is Apple, rallying another $1.82 to close at 275.5, putting up almost 1.25 million contracts out there. And the hot option in the fruit company today, listeners, 133,000 of the 280s expiring today. Average price for these, 33 cents. You might say that's wild, but stock got as high as 280.18 intraday. So these were ever so briefly in the money. Either way, listeners, if you paid 33 cents for these and rode them through the close, not a great trade. If you sold them, you were sweating a bit, but you ended up working out pretty well. As we keep climbing to the number 3 spot, you know, it's either earnings season or a div play, and it seems like it's the latter whenever Exxon popping on our list, ExxonMobil, ticker symbol XOM. Closing today, 155.56, up nearly $4 or 2.6% today, putting up 2.38 million contracts, so a lot of paper. And the hot option in this name, which was going ex-div, 358,000 of the 125s. Again, 30 handle in the money calls, signature sign of a div play. So let's keep rolling, listeners, up to number 2. What is it today? It's Tesla, closing 428.60, up $3.40, or about 0.8%, putting up 2.58 million contracts for the number 2 spot in our countdown today, the hot option in Tesla. You know it's expiring today. The question is what strike? And it was 138,000 of the 430s. So slightly out of the money calls. Average price for these, $1.03. Looks like paper might have been selling these. Again, opening flow. Once again, if you sold these, you had to be a bit courageous. The stock got well north of that strike early on in the session, up to about 436 and a third before coming back to earth and then rallying again. It never quite threatened the 430 strike in the second half of the session, though. So if you sold these, you were looking pretty good, even if you had to sweat a little bit earlier in the session. And now it's time for our number 1 offender on our list today, listeners. Yup, it's Nvidia, putting up 2.59 million contracts for the number 1 spot today. Nvidia rallying to 190 even, up $1.47, or about 0.75%. So don't see a lot of round numbers in Nvidia these days. And again, putting up nearly 2.6 million contracts for the number 1 spot on our countdown today, the hot option in Nvidia. Over 250,000, 264,000 of the 192 halves expiring today. Average price for these, 50 cents. Looks like paper might have been selling these as well. Again, another opening trade. And once again, you had to sweat a bit earlier in the session. The stock got as high as about 193.25 today. So these were looking kind of rough. But if you held on, you had to threaten it again. They got back up to right around the 192 strike later on in the session before selling off again. So you had to sweat a bit today if you sold these. But if you rode them through the close, they ended up working out pretty good. Did your trades work out well today? I'm curious. Hit us up. Let us know, listeners. Of course, if you want to find some more great trades, thehotoptionsreport.com is the place to go to crunch all this data and a whole bunch more. Don't forget to join us over there on the Pro for the upcoming Vol Deathmatch. Trust me, you don't want to miss that. And we'll see you back here tomorrow with all of our great content on the network until we're back again after the closing bell. Another episode of the Hot Options Report. Stay safe out there.
You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network. For more quality options programs, visit www.theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app, available in iTunes and on Google Play.